So, hello and welcome to Netflix versus cinema, but this is a special kind of a Netflix cinema. Usually we go to the cinema, watch things on Netflix and put them together and we talk about it. My name is Tosin and I am the host based up in the Midlands, and joining me today is Shaun Harris.
Hello everyone.
Yeah, now Shaun, this comes about because it's like I think this has come about because of a particular thing that you spotted, and that's like every now and then we have an anthology show, and we tried doing one for Black Mirror, which we recorded, and I don't know what I did with that. Where you think, okay, the problem with because usually when we review a series, we try and review the whole series, and we say we've got to review the whole series if we're going to put it up against something in cinema, because that's when the whole story is told. But as you pointed out, when you have an anthology series, each episode is kind of its own tiny mini film, and so reviewing the whole thing doesn't really make much sense. Well, it makes a lot more sense to review each individual episode. So today, what we're going to try and do is we're going to try and review two things. We're going to try and review two things, two shows that have come up recently. Number one is The Boys Diabolical, the animated spin-off of Amazon Prime's The Boys. And the other one is Love, Death and Robots Season 3, where we're going to go through episode by episode, and we're going to try and see if we can give each one of these episodes its own star rating of what we thought of this episode out of 5. So, Shaun, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with The Boys Diabolical, or do you want to start with Love, Death and Robots Season 3?
Let's start with Love, Death and Robots. Love, Death and Robots.
Okay, so we're going to kick off with Love, Death and Robots Season 3.
Series 3, yeah.
So we're going to kick off, or Volume 3 as Netflix calls it. So we're going to kick off going through each episode one by one. So the first episode in Love and Death and Robots Volume 3 is 3 robots exit strategies. Now, okay, Shaun, you already have a big smile on your face.
Yeah. Well, this was in the first. This was the first episode of series 1, wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, I think that this is a callback to season 2.
So this is a callback with the 3 robots with you know, and this time they're sort of just checking out, why people left this establishment, why people left, and they walk through and see. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, because I quite like the idea of the original 3 robots, because the whole idea is these 3 robots who are going through, and they're essentially going almost like on a safari. They're going on a safari and they're going on a historical holiday where they're going through to find out why there's no more humans left around, and what happened to the humans, like what led to all the humans being extinct and the planet being taken over by robots. What led to like the new whole robot thing. And you have these 3 robots. You have one of them that's kind of like, sort of like like an R2D2 box that just sort of goes around on box. You have one of them that's really, really peppy and everything, and you have one of them who's black, for one of a better word, essentially.
I think he's like, yeah, he's based probably on the Fresh Prince, isn't he, or something along that.
It's kind of like that. If you said that if you had a Fresh Prince robot, that would be the Fresh Prince robot. And then they're walking around, and I really like the repartee, the way they go back and forth amongst each other. And in this one, when they're walking through the post-apocalypse, and in this particular one, it's called Exit Strategies because they are trying to figure out how humans were trying to deal with the impending destruction of the planet, and essentially, obviously, because all the humans are dead, none of these things work, and so they go from place to place, going, "What are these guys trying to do? What are these guys trying to do? What are these guys trying? What did the super rich try and do? What did the mega rich try and do? What did the people who didn't have any money? What were they left to do and all that?" And I actually, well, I really like this episode. Shaun, what did you think?
Yeah, no. I really enjoyed this one as well. I thought, yeah, it's great, like you say, that the R2D2 is like the mine of information and says, "Oh, this is what happened, this one." So they ask the questions and they talk about. So you've got like the smaller robot that's asking the questions, the R2D2 that's answering, and the other guy that's making comments on them. The fresh
he's saying, "How stupid is that?"
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, it works really, really well. This, I think, and I really like the idea. And of course, I think as well, at the end, I'm thinking of. I was thinking Mark Wahlberg, Planet of the Apes sort of thing, at the very end of the. Do you remember the bit? At the very end of the. What did you expect?
Oh yes. I remember it now. Now I remember. Yeah, I remember what happens right at the end of it. And it's like, who, you expecting someone else?
That's it.
And that's like a total callback to the first one. So this is the first time. I know we say it's an anthology and none of these things link together, but this is the first time that Love, Death and Robots has done 2 stories that link. But I really, really like the way they did this. This for me would have a 4 out of 5. This,
Yeah, 4. I agree with you totally
yeah,
on this one.
this episode for me will have four, and I think it also does that whole thing of telling a story about how it's like it's almost as if it's saying humanity. If you don't change your ways, this is where we're heading,
Yeah,
and
that's it.
but it does it in such a clever way that does not make you feel like punching somebody in the face. Because I remember an episode of Doctor Who, and this was of the most recent incarnation of Doctor Who, which was Jodie Whittaker. Because I've gone off Doctor Who for a while. I've gone off Doctor Who for a while, and I decided, okay, let me just try and watch an episode and let me see how it's going on. And it was an episode that tried to make exactly the same point as this 11-minute episode, this 11-minute short of Love, Death and Robots. But the way they did it in that Doctor Who episode just made me want. I was like, oh my god, that is so cringe. That is so cringe. And Love, Death and Robots in 11 minutes gets exactly the same point across of humanity. If you don't change your ways, this is where we're heading.
That's right.
And I was like, genius. Genius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And nice animation as well. Nice animation as well.
So the thing about Love, Death and Robots is that the animation is always amazing. Whatever still, whether it's hand drawn or whether it's computer animated or whether it's stop motion, the animation in Love, Death and Robots is always amazing, and I think it's brilliant. I love it. So let's move on to the next one, Bad Traveling. Now, Love, Death and Robots was created by two people, Tim Miller, who most people might know as the director of the original Deadpool, of the first Deadpool movie, and Terminator Dark Fate, which I kind of liked, but most people didn't, and David Fincher, who most people needs no introduction. David Fincher, he of Seven fame, he of Curious Case of Benjamin Button. The man is like, he does good stuff. And this episode, Bad Traveling, was directed by David Fincher. And
it shows.
Yeah, I know. That's because I was watching this, and before it came up towards the end, I was like, hang on a second, this is this is the third volume of Love, Death and Robots I'm watching, and I'm watching it going, hang on a second, this has a pervading sense of dread. There's a lot more focus on atmosphere in this episode than on any other episode. I was like, what is going on here? And it's 21 minutes, one of the longest ones, and then at the end it says directed by David Fincher, and I'm like, yeah, there it is, of course. And it's called Bad Traveling, and it's all about. It has like a scroll at the beginning that talks about how in ancient times people used to go hunting for these massive sea creatures, and this is a tale of a group of people on a ship that essentially go and hunt a massive sea creature, and they end up with one of these sea creatures on the ship with them, and what ensues is almost kind of like ye olde times Alien. Like the first one, where they have this thing on there, but it becomes this battle of wills between the captain and this creature that they have on board, and then there's also like a battle of wills between the captain and his crew, it is. I mean, this is a brilliant. This is a brilliant film.
It is definitely. No, I agree. This totally blew me away. I thought it was just class. This all the way through. I mean. A great story, you could see the thinking behind what the people were doing. It was just a really, really well thought out, well directed. Yeah, this was the top one, I think, was for me.
Yeah, so. I'd agree, because I think a lot of them are based on short stories. And I know the thing with short stories is that a good short story feels like, okay, you don't need this to be a novel. Everything you need is in there, and I think these are some of the best adaptations of short stories I have ever seen. They didn't go like most people go, oh, let's pad it out a bit and let's make it into like full-length film or anything like that. They just went, no, let's just get the short story. And I mean, based on this, some of these authors and some of these short stories I want to go read. So Bad Traveling, how many stars would you give this one?
I'm giving this one a 5. This is probably my favorite. It gets a 5, this one.
I think I might have to agree with you, because it's even in 21 minutes you're kind of like, oh my god, it's going that way. Oh no, it's going that way. Oh no, what's he doing? No. And even the final shot, you're kind of like going,
the final shot,
You're like, so that's what was going on this whole time. So, oh wow. And no, it's without spoiling it, it's a 21-minute thing, but I don't want to spoil anything. So okay, Bad Traveling 5, and then we go to the Very Pulse of the Machine. Now, the Very Pulse of the Machine. Let me read you the synopsis on Netflix. It says, when an exploratory mission to a Jovian moon ends in disaster, the lone survivor must begin a perilous but mind-expanding journey. And this episode is a bit like that. This
Yeah.
episode is a bit more philosophical-ish, kind of. Let me put it this way: my brother has what who my brother's opinions show up on this podcast every now and he tried watching 2001 A Space Odyssey, and he was like, what the heck, it took this guy 20 minutes to do nothing.
Yeah.
And if that's your kind of thinking, you might not like this. However, if you like the whole philosophical actual element of something like 2001, you might like this, because it's kind of like,
it reminds me a little bit of a journey, like, I don't know, what would you say? It's like, yeah, it's just a journey through different things, really. I don't know, 2001 came to mind or something like that. No, it's like,
but I think I've never seen it, but I would imagine that, you know, the film Solaris.
Solaris, yeah.
I imagine this is very kind of like Solaris.
Yeah.
Because it goes philosophical. It goes into the who are we as humans. It goes into what are we? Are we part of something bigger? What does sacrifice mean? Or, and you kind of and it looks beautiful. I mean, as we said, it looks absolutely beautiful. But story wise, I think when this one ended, I was left going,
yeah.
And whoa.
Yeah,
So you're telling me, don't tell me a story just to not tell me anything.
That's it, because that's basically it, isn't it? It's just like, you know, it's just that I should imagine this would be one of those ones which, you know, if people were watching it when they were high or something like that, they'd probably enjoy it.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's scenes in this episode that would make you wonder if you are high. But
Yeah.
It's like, so it's so I think this one will probably be a 3 for me.
That's it. Yeah, I agree with you again, Toes. 3.
Yeah.
I got it down there. Yeah, it was the 3.
The very puzzle of the machine, I think it would be a 3 for me, because I was not sure what they were getting at. I really it looked beautiful. It looked amazing.
Yeah, I agree.
Totally promised something, but then it kind of ends, and you're like, where's the rest of the story?
Didn't really deliver, did it? Didn't really deliver.
I do think it delivered. And now we go on to which I think is going to be one of your favorite, Shaun, and that is Night of the Mini Dead.
Night of the Mini Dead.
Night of the Mini Dead. Now the title of this should tell you everything you need to know. But Shaun, you were going to say?
Yeah, I was just saying this is probably the shortest one of the, so it's really, really nice and quick, and it's got, you know,
it's 7 minutes long. This one's 7 minutes long.
Yeah, just like, you know, there's no real dialogue, is there? There's no real dialogue as such. I just really enjoyed this, how it went. It was like one of those games, you know, like the Lemming games or whatever.
Yes.
You know, those old that
Yeah. Like the entire thing looks like it's shot from like a God's eye point of view, which I think, like, so for instance, I think some Call of Duty games are a bit like that, or like where it's kind of like a God's eye point of view, and everything is just tiny. It's like Night of the Mini Dead. So it's stop motion animation, but everybody's tiny, and you don't really hear anything. Like even the dialogue is just kind of like. Even though every now and then, I mean, but what it does in 7 minutes, it kind of goes through all of the tropes of a zombie movie, everything you would see in a zombie movie, but sped up. It's like, look, we don't need all the bits in the middle. We just need the 7 minute thing. So it starts off and you have like a car drives up to a graveyard, and then 2 women, a man and a woman, get out of the graveyard, and they do what you do in horror movies. And then because you're in the graveyard, then there's a zombie outbreak. And I think the timing of this is brilliant. Like, there's a bit where they show the White House and the U.S. obviously, because when you get to America, it becomes the U.S. military response to this. Yeah. And there's a bit where you see a shot of the White House, and you hear a phone ring, and you hear someone go, "Zombies? What? Not a watch!" And the rockets take off. And I thought this was hilarious. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought
that's great.
For somebody who doesn't particularly like zombie movies, it went through all of the tropes of the zombie movie. This is what happens. This is what goes on. And then in the end, this is where you would end up. So I thought Night of the Mini Dead, I think purely for me, for the way they executed the idea. The idea is very simple. A 7 minute zombie movie from a God's eye point of view. I think it's probably a 5. Because
this one again, you read me right. This is a 5. This is a big 5 for me too.
Yeah, because it's just spot on. The timing is brilliant, and the concept and the execution is brilliant. I think so. And now we get on to Kill Team Kill.
Kill Team Kill, yeah.
Kill Team Kill, and this is this made me go a little bit philosophical. It made me go a little bit philosophical, Shaun, because this made me think, right, that there are some themes that keep coming back over and over in Love, Death, and Robots, and I think Love, Death, and Robots need to stop doing the military team on a mission that goes wrong, and essentially they need to stop trying to remake Aliens. We spoke about one earlier that was like old school Alien. Now we're talking about Aliens. They need to stop trying to, because this is one of I think they've had at least one of these every single episode.
They do. There was one with season. Like they were all in cars being chased, weren't there, in previous series? So they always seem to have.
There was one with vampires, and they all seem to have exactly the same story.
That's it. Yeah, it's just there's something they're fighting, isn't it?
Yeah, so. It's a bunch of macho guys. Like, military types are going along somewhere. Then something comes up, and then oh my god, something goes wrong, and then they start getting picked off one by one. And I feel like these are the weakest episodes of Love, Death, and Robots. And I feel like because there's 2 of them in this season, and they have almost exactly the same story. They have almost exactly the same. So this one says like the U.S. Special Forces are trained to neutralize any threats, even a cybernetic killing machine created by the CIA. The secret weapon, a sense of humor, but it's just that it's just kind of like another thing of Aliens. It's another thing of Predator. Yeah. They get picked off one by one in good animation, and there's a bit of commentary in there about America and the CIA and what they try and do. And how your own creations turn on you, but I guess there's a bit of Frankenstein. But
we've seen all this before, haven't we? I mean, we have. I mean, the action and the graphics, the animation's pretty good. I think with the it's quite. But So, but I know what you're saying. It's the same trope, and we've seen it so many times in all the other series. Whereas some of the others that have been on, like the Voyage one, that was
bad traveling.
Yeah, that's it. That was brilliant. Bad traveling. Yeah, that was really good. But so no, I agree with you on this one as well, Toes. It's good, isn't it? We've got the same thing when it comes to animation, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more the stories here. I think it's more the stories. Yeah. Probably. So okay, what is your what's you go first? What's your star rating for?
Okay. Well, I like the action in it. I like the shoot 'em ups a little bit. I understand exactly where you're coming from, so I've actually given this one a 3.5. So this has got 3.5.
Okay, cool. That close. It gets a 3 from me.
Yeah.
Now we get onto Swarm. Swarm is an interesting one. 2 human scientists study the secrets of an ancient alien entity, but soon they learn the horrible price of survival in a hostile universe. Now this is, and I think you come to these things with your own baggage. And with me coming from a country, I'm Nigerian. It was a country that was colonized. I'm recently listening to a podcast called It's a Continent, which tries to go through history and give you the proper history of African countries and not just the ones that, the colonizers tell you. Mm-hmm. and so for me, I was like, this is colonization. This is science fiction talking about colonization. So you have 2 human scientists who go into this swarm, and it's a bit like they're a bit like insecty and all that kind of stuff, and they say but it's a perfectly well done machine and everything works and everything, and the male scientist shows up and he's all about how can we use this to help the human race, and the female scientist is all about they're their own thing. We need to leave them alone.
That's it. Leave them alone.
We need to leave them alone, and I think this is probably a bit of hard sci-fi, like what they say about hard sci-fi, where it's a lot more about the science than it is about the fiction and about the whole thing of but I really like this. I mean, I think it looks brilliant. It's one of the, every now and then Love, Death and Robots has an episode where the animation is so good that you wonder whether they're actually people.
It's similar to the sort of same, like, what was that film when they put the little craft in the bloodstream? I forget what that was called.
Inner Space.
Inner Space, yeah. It's a bit sort of along those lines.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like they're in one big body, and then you have these things which will be like the red blood cells that are protecting, and you have these things which are like produce stuff, and you go there. It goes. There's a little bit of body horror in it towards the end. A little bit David Cronenberg. I think.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, but I liked it. I thought obviously. I mean, once I made the colonization link, I was like, yep, Yep,
Yeah.
you can only do good things from here on. I like that. I think Swarm for me is a 4.
Yeah, 4 for me too. The Swarm's a 4 for me too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Swarm's a 4. Um, yeah. Anyway, but I don't. The problem is that you don't want to say much more about these because it's only
You
17
can't
minutes
really
long,
know.
and then you try to
So,
say anything more, and it just becomes a
yeah.
spoiler. So we're
I
gonna
mean,
leave it.
and the animation's lovely as well, isn't it?
It
I
is
mean,
amazing.
it's, it's good.
It is so good. There's a lot of floating in this one,
Yeah.
and just the
Like,
way it's animated is so good. This one I'm not sure it was motion captured, but it was good. And now the next one is one of my favorite ones of this season. It is
yeah,
one of my favorite ones of this season.
this is
It,
brilliant.
it's called Mason's Rats, and, and I don't think I've seen a more succinct 10-minute long um treatise on the nature of war and on the nature of war and how nobody wins and everything like that. But it's all done through the eye of Mason, who is a Scottish farmer who is voiced by Craig Ferguson, the Scottish comic, on his farm, and he has all these rats, and he's trying to get rid of the rats because obviously he's trying to they're eating his grain and all that. And one day he shoots a rat, and then he notices that after he shoots the rat has like a whole bunch of tools around his belt, and he's like, "What the? Why does this rat have tools?"
Yeah.
And then he calls an exterminator, and he's like, "Ah, yes, I think you'll find that we've been seeing this. There, the rats have been getting militant." It's like, so what you need is a new security system. So he buys a security system and goes in there to get rid of the rats, and then the rats beat that security system. Then he's like, "What? You sold me this thing?" And they go, "Oh, you see, yeah, they've been getting cleverer. So you need this instead." And then he buys this other thing, and then he sends it in there, and it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating until it gets to the point,
even down to the wounded and stuff. It's just brilliant.
It gets to the point where he gets this robot, which is essentially like the Terminator. It's like the Terminator for rats, and he gets this robot, and this robot is just like a killing machine. And then one day he goes. I mean, I feel like I'm telling the whole story, but there's a scene where he walks into the barn. And it is the most Saving Private Ryan thing you have ever seen.
Yeah.
Only all done with rats. It's all done with rats.
Yeah.
I thought this was brilliant. I thought Mason's Rats was brilliant. I thought the way it was. It made its point. It got it across. Yeah. It showed you this is what we're trying to say. And at the end of and the way it brings everything back to, again, you're like, oh wow, that's actually for something that starts off with somebody trying to get rid of all the rats in his house. It ends up in quite a beautiful place.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, this one's got to be the 5. This one's 5.
It's a 5
all the way.
It's a 5. Mason's Rats is a 5. Okay, and now the next episode after Mason's Rats, and because these things are so short, so if you put them all together, if you put them all together, their running times are probably it probably doesn't even reach to 90 minutes.
No, probably you're right. Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's just about 90 minutes. But if you put them all together, and so you can watch them all in one sitting. So you go from Mason's Rats, and after the high of Mason's Rats, you're like, look, whatever's going to have to follow it needs to bring it, because Mason's Rats is just one of the best episodes of Love, Death and Robots. It's one of the best anime.
It is. It's about 90 minutes in total, isn't it? So you can watch them all in an evening.
In an evening, no problem. And I think that's what I did. And so we have in the next episode is one called In Vaulted Halls Entombed. And this is the second episode that I was talking about, which does that whole thing of a whole bunch of military people going into a mission, going to do something, getting picked off one by one because there's this thing out there that they don't know what it is. And I'm tired. But I'm tired. So this one, it puts them in like they're these people who are they're Americans, and they are on a sort of desert plain. They make it look a bit like Afghanistan or something, and they have to go into a cave to rescue a hostage. And they go in there, and then they've only it's only been like about 5 minutes since they saw people going to the cave, and then they've gone into the cave after them. But all they find are skeletons, and they know that they're the skeletons because they have like the identify, and they're like, what the heck? Mm-hmm. And so they get to meet the thing that turns things into skeletons, and then it becomes like a whole thing of, oh, we're just gonna run, and then it's gonna pick them off one by one, and it's gonna end up with a whole day. And I was watching it, and I was thinking it's like watching Kill Team Kill. It's like
It's very similar, isn't it? It's same sort of story, really.
Yeah, same sort of story, and this one, the way it ends almost as if it's trying to sort of sequel bait, as if it's
Yeah.
trying to. So essentially, if there is a Love, Death, and Robots episode that is centered around a military group on a thing, and then there's going to be some sort of supernatural science fiction thing that's going to start picking them up one by one, I'm already going to go. This thing is not going to be higher than a 3.
No.
So the most
That's
it can
it.
be
Yeah,
is a 3.
as I say, I've gone a 3 on this one. I've gone a 3 on this one.
Yeah, yeah, and it's because I thought it was all right. It's it had a female protagonist, which is changed from some of these, and then we get to what is the final episode of Love, Death, and Robots Volume 3.
This was an interesting one, wasn't it?
This is an interesting is a good word.
Yes,
Weird,
yes.
weird is another one.
Weird is another good word. Yeah.
Beautiful is another good, because
Good word, yeah.
the animation on this is so dang beautiful.
It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? It really is.
It is. It's one of those things, and I know that I saw behind the scenes, like a sort of making of this episode with the director, and because there's a lot of dancing and a lot of movement, he actually got people to act. So I think they got people to act out everything in real life, and then they based the animation based on the people's movements. I don't think the motion captured it. It doesn't look like the motion captured it, but the when I first started watching this, it looked to me like it was like you had these people who looked like they're dressed like conquistadors, like conquistadors.
You would think so. Yeah,
going to South America, and so but my colonialism alarm went off again. But and so for me, and this is one of those things that you watch it, and the whole idea about it is that there's one of these soldiers is deaf, and they go as they're riding by. So you can see these people are sort of like they're almost like they're not native to the land, and they're going through the land, and then one of these creatures that sort of manifests like a woman who's covered in like gold and sparkly diamonds and everything. She sort of pops out of the water, and there's this shot where her eyes just pop out of the water, and the water's just around about her eye level. Beautiful shot. And so this woman pops up, she screams, and then all these men just are running towards the water and fighting each other and killing each other and but this one guy is not affected because he's deaf, and he doesn't know. He's like, what? He's just looking around and he's going, what the hell's going on? And then from that point on, I feel that it becomes a thing that you can start interpreting in your own way. So we spoke about an earlier episode that I think tried to do something similar but didn't do it as well. And that's The Very Pulse of the Machine, which can be a bit like, what are you trying to tell me? You're not telling me anything. But with Jibaro, I feel as if there's a whole bunch of different things that you can take it to.
Yeah. This one sort of stays in your mind as well. It makes you, you sort of think after, you think, oh, I might have to. This is one that I'd like to see a few again, but this is one that definitely needs a rewatch, because it's mesmerizing in a strange sort of way, isn't it?
It's mesmerizing.
Yeah.
And then you realize after a while that, hang on, but what is the story?
What is the story?
And then you start wondering, okay, but does that matter?
Exactly.
The whole thing is like a ballet. This entire episode is like a ballet. It's like a very beautiful. I mean, we're going to keep talking about how beautiful it is, because it is. It is probably, for my money, the best looking episode of Love, Death, and Robots ever made.
Yeah, the best looking. Yeah, it is visually stunning.
It's absolutely stunning to look at, and because I was watching it at one point, I was thinking, is this about a relationship? Is it about a toxic relationship? Is this about like Europeans going into South America and like taking all of the gold from the land and leaving the people there with nothing? Is because
that was the sort of thought there, because that's how it starts off. You think, oh, it's going to be the conquistadors, and then it sort of takes a different tact.
Yeah, but then it almost sort of circles around back to that.
Circles around back at the end. Yeah.
There's a particular scene where, without trying to give too much away, where the Deaf Knight ends up with, like a cloth full of stuff, and the way he gets the stuff, and you're like, oh, hang on, what is going on here? And when it ends up, and you're like, whoa, and it does stay with you, and it does, and I feel like it is consistent enough that if you came up with a theory of this is what this means, you could track with it. You could track with it and say, I think this actually works. So for me, I'm wavering between a 4 and a 5.
Yeah, I am too. I've got 4.5. So I know we shouldn't give 0.5s, but I think because it was so visually stunning and mesmerising and kept your thing. I think we're going to have to err on the side of a 5 for this. You know, it wouldn't normally be, if it was like a movie, it probably would have, but because it was so,
because it's a short,
yeah, and it's yeah. I mean, this is so. I'm probably going to give this one a 5 for me. I think. Well, I think it just scrapes it.
I want to. I really want to, but because because it leaves you with that thing where you're like, whoa, what did I just watch? What did that mean? And all that. I mean, but at the same time, I'm also kind of there's a little bit of me that goes, but what's the story? What are you doing here? Why are you trying to? So I think that's what I would just hold it back from for the No. I would agree with the 4.5. Okay, like it's because if I was speaking to somebody about this, I'll say yes, it's brilliant, but it's brilliant, but be aware.
What's it? Be aware. Yeah. Maybe you're right, Tosin. Maybe having said that, I should go.
No. If you want to go with, because
you made a really good valid point that that's the whole thing with our criteria. But I enjoyed it, so let's stick with it.
I think if you told me 5, I'm not arguing with it. I'm like, I totally see it, because Jibaro is a brilliant episode. It's just, and you can go. But I think that they've done that really, really difficult thing where they've made something that you can watch and you can interpret in different ways without it being up itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that is one of the most difficult things to do, to make something that you can interpret in different ways that doesn't end up being up itself. Because sometimes there's things that people make and it's like, you can interpret it in different ways, and you feel like they just are lazy and they just haven't bothered to figure out their story, and they're expecting you to do all the work. But I feel like with this one, they actually, no, I think they've nailed it. They've done something where I think I can, but there's something very particular that they are saying.
Yeah.
But they know that you could interpret this in different ways, and I thought it was really, really good. So I think all in all, if we get to the end of Love, Death and Robots season 3, it turns out that we agreed mostly on pretty much every single episode.
Yeah, we did pretty much everything on this.
So I think your original review of it ended up giving the entire season, was it a 4.5?
4.5 it was, yes, exactly, yes.
And I would agree with that. I think as far as overall quality this is probably the strongest season of Love, Death and Robots that we've had.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Sorry, yeah, go on.
I was just going to say the first one was 18 episodes long, so obviously there was going to be some dross in there, because it's double the length of this one, so double the chance to have bad stuff in there. But as a pack of episodes, this is probably the strongest Love, Death and Robots. And
I think so. I agree with you on that one.
And it's still one of the things that when it says, new season on Netflix, is one of the few things I'll be like, yes, I want to watch that one. Yeah, I'm going to watch that one. All right, so Shaun, I'm going to stop talking.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say at the end of this as an episode by episode thing of Love, Death and
Robots? No, I just think we pretty much agreed. So, and I mean, it's good that we have agreed, really, because it actually shows the quality of the I think if we agree, it must be good, because I mean, we disagree on a few things here and there. So, which is always good as well. It's nice to hear different. But to both agree, I think that's the makings and the showings of that. It must be good quality, because we both got the same thoughts.
Okay, cool, good stuff. So thank you for that, and so we'll draw a line on the Love, Death and Robots Volume 3, and we'll be back with another one of our anthology show episode by episode ones. And I think the next one, as we said at the beginning, that we're going to do is The Boys Diabolical. There's another one that I want to do, but I want Holly to be with us on that one. It's or maybe even Sharon. It's called Raw on Apple TV Plus, and it is 8 stories about women. 8 stories about women.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, and about feminism and about stuff. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see this. I've seen the first episode, and it's one of the things that you watch and just kind of go, I need to talk to a woman about this.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
for anybody listening, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for doing this, and let us know what your thoughts were on Love, Death and Robots season 3.
Yes, please. Yeah,
speak to you soon.